All right, good evening once again, everybody. Welcome to the second session for this masterclass series. I'm trying to put up my screen now. Just a moment, please. All right. Okay, please, if you can see my screen, please just post yes to me in the chat box. Okay, you can see my screen. Please just post yes to me. Okay. All right, thank you, everybody. Welcome once again for those that just joined us. I'm hoping that we'll run very fast this evening because there are a number of things to cover. Even last week, we were not able to cover up. Okay, so I would start from there and then we'll just move into what we have for today. All right, trying to see. Okay, so I had a little challenge earlier. My system, let's say crash now. Not crash anyway, but I lost my Excel workbook. So earlier in the afternoon, I had to create another one. Thanks to the fact that I was the one that actually drafted that earlier. Okay, so it was not too difficult. Okay. All right, so please just give me a moment. Let me run my settings and we'll kick off. I'm trying to see. Um, okay, yeah, I'm good. All right. Okay, so this is our module for the first session. And so last week we looked at module one, anatomy of Excel, proper data sets, formatting. We consider three types of formatting: number formatting, custom number formatting rather, and style formatting. Right. So then we look at different types of formula and the different types of formula elements with certain examples. Okay, so today I want us to start with formula error that we couldn't actually talk about last week. All right, so these are the major things that we'll talk about today. I tried as much as possible to cover. If you check the module for today, you see lookup / reference functions is actually missing out here because what I actually have, frankly speaking, would probably under this alone would take us nothing less than 1 hour for lookup function. Okay, so what I had planned to do is to add it to what we would consider tomorrow. Probably we'll start off from lookup / reference function because this is very important. As a matter of fact, this particular module is one of the most important to me. If you are good at the use of Excel functions, right, for especially tests and and um, um, which other one now? Lookup functions. I tell you, it would improve your Excel skills by a very good margin. Okay, so I want to I want to create certain impression on the functions, particularly test function, date and time function, and then we look at a number of database function. Okay, and then so one of the things that I modified was from the feedback that you guys actually gave last week. For example, the time, okay, and then the well, let's say complexity now. All right. So I'm trying as much as possible that everybody, irrespective of your current Excel competence, you will be able to find something new to learn from our discussions. Okay. And then so if you are new to Excel, you will still be able to catch up on the discussion. So it won't be like you're studying Greek. Okay, so I would make use of the Excel inbuilt functions. I will show us how to go about it. But more importantly, let me just stress this again. There's no amount of information that I can pass to you. If you don't play around these functions, you would not most likely get what we are talking about. Because typically in an Excel training, okay, it's meant to be a practical session where everybody has their systems and then so we run through things together. Okay, but it's going to waste a lot of time if we have to be asking individuals to put up their laptops and then getting feedback from individual. It won't help. Okay. All right. So if you have questions, just post them in the chat box. I will ensure to actually respond. Okay. All right. So we start with formula errors. And so let me say that no matter how good you are in Excel, you are bound to encounter errors. Okay. There are either errors that you created by yourself or errors in the file document that you are making use of, right? So for example, if um if I if I make use of if I import certain data from say um CVS or which other one now, Notepad, you know, that is I don't have a control over how the data will be presented in Excel, right? And so because there are different documents, what's it called, document types, all right, that when they are converted, when they move, say, from test pad to Excel, the configuration tends to change and then you might not have a control over it. So that's why many a times Excel errors actually occur. And then some other times they're actually due to the data entry. So maybe you're working on the document with your colleague or your clients or your manager or someone else, you're not the only one working on the particular document, so you can only vouch for the aspect that you actually worked on. And even at that, as a person, you're not a robot. Errors are bound to happen. And so we just want to learn about these errors and then we learn the fix. Remember I said last week that one of the reasons why we are learning about all of this alignment, the formatting styles and all of that is so that by the time we see something that is not looking too good, we can actually fix it. All right. So the number of Excel error types, I think about 9 that I know, classified into about 9, but I'm going to talk about 6 today. All right. So we also have a topic called data cleaning, where we're going to clean some raw data. Okay. So we'll make use of our knowledge of errors and error messages. So number 1 is the hashtag errors. Okay. Please, you're raising your hand. I might not be able to permit you to speak now. I don't lose my thought of flow. Okay, so please just post your question to me in the box. I would ensure to actually respond or talk about it. Okay, all right. So we have hashtag errors. If you are conversant with Excel, you probably would have seen this type of error before, and then so it's very easy to fix. But what does it mean? It means that your column, the column for your data is not wide enough. It's just as simple as that. Okay, so um, how do you fix it? Two things. One major thing that you do, but probably in two or many other ways, is to actually extend the column. Okay, so if you have something like this, um, let's up. Okay, so now look at this. I have sales reps and their sales amounts. So probably somebody sent this document to me. Let's say I have 1,000 sales rep in that column and the sales entry, in the second column. All right, but it's not showing, it's not displaying. All right, when I place my cursor on it, you can actually see, the figure. All right, 29,350 and then 52 kobo, but it's not showing on my screen. Remember I told you something last week. I said there are two types of display. What is happening underneath your cell and what is actually showing on your screen or at the surface of the cell. All right. So that's, I said, number formatting is a facade. It means that what you see might not totally be what is actually reading underneath. But Excel as an application actually makes use of what is underneath the cell. Okay. So basically, what do I need to do to fix this kind of error is to actually extend the column. Okay. All right. So I'm going to undo now and go back to that error. All right. So we still have this error. Another way, very simple way to do it, you place your cursor by the edge of this column C where that data is actually sitting. Okay. All right. So you can see when I took away the cursor, the sign changed. It's still a plus, but not this type of plus. It's not as thick as this. So when I place it back, you actually see is a slimmer cross sign. All right. So it's showing that you can actually walk at that intersection. All right. So what you do instead of dragging, which also works, but sometimes you might drag and you also have too much space in between, not on the data itself, but it's actually, you actually have too much of space by the side and you don't need this type of space. So let me undo. So best way to do it, to actually more like you have what we call um, slim fit. Yes. So best fits to the column. So you just double click on it. So it's going to give you the column width that is just sufficient for the data that you have entered. This is different from this. I hope you are looking at where I'm actually talking about. All right, somewhere here. Okay. All right. So that's just how to fix this type of error. A number of times you will come across it very easy. So you just either drag or you just double click. Okay. All right. So let's move on. The second type of error that is very common is the div error. Div error means you are dividing by zero or by an empty cell. Okay, so this is kind of error sign you see. Remember last week I said that um, your logical or your Boolean error, your Boolean data actually is aligned to the middle. So that's why you see all these error signs. They are actually aligned to the middle. Somebody said I should enlarge my screen. Okay, so I believe you're seeing it better now. Okay, all right. So um, okay, so I was talking about div error. Div error is the kind of error that you get when you have actually you have done a division by zero, or you are dividing another number by an empty cell. So you just look, the quick way to fix it is to look at your formula. All right. So one of the ways to look at your formula that is sitting on the cell is to click F2. Okay, so you can actually see what I did here. I did 100 divided by 0, all right, which of course, you know, any number divided by 0 is not defined, it's undefined. All right, so it's going to give you an error. So that's when you get this kind of error. And then so the best way to actually fix this, you know, at times you might actually have 0 as the legitimate number on that column or where your data is, and then so you can't change it. But many a times it's actually due to the fact that it was not meant to be 0. Probably I wanted to type 10, you know, and then I forgot to type the 1 and I put 0. Okay, but many a times it's actually 0. So we're going to look at how to fix error. We call it if error. So we'll talk about that very shortly, I believe. Okay, so I've talked about your hashtag error and your div error. Number 3 is your ref error. Okay, so many times you also make reference to a particular cell, but along the way the cell gets deleted, or the number or the data in that cell has been deleted, you know, wiped off. So one of the ways to fix this is to look back into your formula to see if it has been moved or it has been replaced by a test or something else. But as a matter of fact, what you originally have or what you are legitimately meant to have has been wiped off. It has been taken off. All right. So let me show you an example. So gradually I'll be entering into test and number formatting. So I want to populate this place, but I don't want to put figures by myself. So I want Excel to help me. All right, so we have what we call rand. It's going to show you random. You're just going to pick random numbers. So this is it. Rand is different from rand between. Okay, rand is a number between 0 and 1. So they are in decimals. Okay, but you can actually round it up. Okay, but I want round between. So I want random number between 1 and say 50. Let me say 1 and 50. So it's going to give me random number. Okay, there's an error. What could that be? What's the error? What's the error? It should go. Okay, something sitting on the cell. Okay, let me wipe this off and then type. Okay, so rand. Okay, sorry, random. Okay, all right. So 1 to 150. I want a random number between 1 to 150. Okay, and then I also want to drag this down. Okay, and then I also want to drag to here and also here. So now I have a random number between 1 to 50. Okay, but let me change this to 0 by myself. Now, if I want to divide this by this by this, now watch. If I divide this by number 2, of course, it's going to give me my answer. Let me now just click down. You can actually see the div error. Okay, so what happens was that I am doing a division by 0. Okay, so when I click F2 is more like your audit key. Use it to audit your formula. Okay, so whatever formula is sitting on that cell would come to display. All right, so that's what I just did now. Okay, so it's showing me that, okay, this is the reason why I am getting this kind of error. 47 is not meant to be divided by 0. So I'll probably have to change whatever I need to change here or just wrap it. Damilola, you're writing on my screen. All right, so please delete what you wrote. Okay, so let me just show, because there are a number of Excel functions, so we may not be able to take them one after the other, but as occasion comes or as occasion calls for the use, I'll probably talk about them. All right, so look at what I'm going to do here. Okay, and inside the formula bar, I want to wrap it such that if I have okay, so let me go back and change this to 0.2. So it means I have 2 places where this error is showing. Okay, now when I was doing this division, I can actually wrap it so that I don't want to be seeing this div error. So imagine I want to send this to my client or manager or anybody that needs this document. I don't want them to be seeing div error. Okay, but the number that is meant to be is actually 0. So what I would do is to wrap it. We call it nesting. Okay, so I want to nest this with an if error. So I'll say if error. That means if, sorry, let me go back. If I have an error, rather than showing, I would tell Excel what it should display. I don't know if you understand. So I don't know yet if I'm going to have error as I'm scrolling, as I'm running my analysis. But peradventure, there's an error. I want Excel to display something else. Okay, so I would wrap it. Don't forget, I've already done my division. So I'll come back to the beginning after the equal sign. Okay, and say, okay, now the value will be what is meant to be produced. Okay, but if there's an error, okay, so I can put 0, I can put a test, for example, and say, what can I use? Let me say nothing. Okay. Now, can you see the syntax? Okay. So this if error has two arguments, the value that I want to display. But in a case where an error is produced, I am telling Excel what it should display rather than the div error. Okay. So I want Excel to display nothing. All right. So then I'll click on this and take it down. I don't know if you understand this. Okay, now because we are just making use of 4 rows of data, that's why it might not be very significant to you. Okay, but if we have a large, I always put in perspective a large number of data because Excel can actually run a large number of data. So I actually always put in perspective. Imagine if I have 800 rows for this, what do I want Excel to display? Now, next session, I believe we're going to have um, we're going to have to clean data. Okay, so we're going to put some examples like this up that will show us what you can do, and there are also other ways to actually run around this and actually fix it. But my emphasis here is that I don't personally, I don't always like to see all of these errors displaying. So rather I would nest it in something and then I'll tell Excel, you can change this nothing to anything you want, either minus or I just want Excel to not display div error. Okay. All right. Next is the name error. All right. So name error is a kind of error that is produced when Excel does not recognize the kind of formula that you're putting up. Right? It doesn't understand. So for example, I just did F2 for this now. Okay, so now let me take you to my other column where I have this example. Okay, so if I if I copy this, let me say I copy this number, okay, and then bring it here, and I just it, okay, and then I also want to multiply, okay. All right, so let me cancel this and then show us from the beginning again. Okay. Please just pay attention to what we are doing here. Okay. All right. So now let me change this to another number, or since we're actually using random number. Okay, so I could say this is 12 and this is 11. Okay. Now, if I want to, instead of multiply, I want to divide. And then so I am dividing this by this. Okay, it's going to give me the number. But in the case where column C is actually deleted, all right? Can you see what happened? Okay. Somebody's asking is column or row. If you attended the first session, column is what you are seeing labeled in alphabets. All right. So these are columns. Numbers. The rows are labeled in numbers. Okay. Rows are labeled in numbers. Columns are labeled in alphabets, in letters. Okay. So the intersection between the two is what we call a cell. Now, notice what happens. I just deleted now. I just deleted a cell that this is referencing. So it's referencing um, B and C. But you can actually see that I have deleted column B. Sorry, column B, yes, column C. But as I delete it, it's going to change the name of the column to the next one, okay? So that's exactly what is happening here. This is the kind of error that is produced when you have actually deleted where you referenced earlier, or you changed something in that cell, okay? So for example, okay, this is value error. Now let's move on. We still have a number of things to talk about, all right? But just keep putting your questions to me in the box. I would ensure to respond, okay? I would ensure to respond. So we've talked about how many types of formulas now, how many types of error messages now. We've talked about 4. We talked about hashtag errors, div error, ref error, name error, okay? And I said that name error is produced when Excel does not recognize your 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 referenced formula or your reference cell. Something is missing, or you probably misspelled a test, inside your formula. Excel will not be, it is not that intelligent to recognize what you actually want it to do. Okay. All right. So next one is the not available. Okay. So this we're going to see this under the um, lookup function. Okay, not available. Now let me just show you an example for this. I'd actually done this in the earlier session that I had today. That's why you see this data actually. So I was meant to have duplicated the document before you. Okay, so what I have here is I have these items and then their costs. Okay, now on the other side, I have the items and then I want Excel to look up the price or the costs and bring it into this data array. Okay, that's basically what lookup is about. Lookup means to look up a value in another array and bring it into this array. Okay, so now if you compare the two, you actually see that trouser as a product is not here, okay? But you are asking Excel to look it up and it's saying, I cannot find it. That's why it's saying not available in this, okay? Because if I change this to say cap, it's going to find it, okay? But the product that I have named, I actually wanted trouser. Maybe trouser was meant to be part of the array here, but it was not, and then I'm asking the Excel to look it up, but it cannot find it. This is the kind of error that you produce when you are asking the Excel to produce a result from another table, but it cannot actually look it up because that item is actually not part of the data set here. Okay, so this is very, very straightforward. This is very straightforward. Okay, questions? Okay, volume. Okay, please just keep posting your questions. I would ensure to answer you. Okay, all right, so let's move on. This is very clear, I believe. All right, next error is the value error. All right, so value error has a wrong type of argument. Now in every formula, in every inbuilt formula, so let me just tell you the anatomy of an Excel formula. Every formula starts with an equal sign, and so you can suggest to Excel what formula you want to produce. For example, I want to type sum. I want to sum up a number or a group of data, So as I'm typing S, Excel is already assuming the kind of formula that I want to use. All right, so it's bring up all the formula inbuilt formula that starts with S. But I'm not stopping there. I'm typing U. It continues searching. All right. So by the time I can actually scroll down or finish typing it, and click my tab. Once you click tab, it selects it, or you double click on it. Okay, now once you double click on it, it brings up the syntax. Now the syntax is made up of arguments, and so the arguments are the element inside that syntax. So in this, for example, it's showing numbers. Now it can continue. You can see this dot dot dot. It means till infinity. So as many that I want to sum together. So let me give you an instance. If I have, let me just do a random number. I like using random between 1 and 20. Okay. Right. So I'll just bring this down. I'll bring it down. Okay, now I want to sum these numbers together. So once I type sum, it's already suggesting to me that this is what I want to use. And then so I click my tab, I place my cursor, and then I drag down. I can easily drag down with my hand on the cursor and then the right click, or I click Control Shift arrow down, and click enter. Yanulua, please delete what you're writing on our screen. All right, thank you. Okay, so another way to do this is to actually use the shortcut Alt equals. Once I click Alt equals, Excel is already looking around for where numbers are that it can actually sum up. So it's actually found this, but it is not correct because I don't want to add this space. So I can either drag from here or just reduce what I have. I can actually reduce what I have and say, okay, this is not where I want it. This is where I want it. And then I have my result. Okay. Yeah, no, please, can you delete? You can actually click on undo for what you're actually typing or drawing on the screen. All right, so these are the major formula errors that we have. There are other formula errors, about 3, that I deliberately do not want to talk about here until we actually get to where we need them, like cell reference error. We're going to look at 9 amazing types of cell references tomorrow. So I would mention that type of error that can be produced. Okay. One of the things that is happening, yes, that is asking for lookup. Yes, we're going to talk about lookup. I am tempted not to, not even tempted now. I don't want to jump ahead of myself because we already have an outline that we want to follow. A number of things that we can actually talk about, honestly. And then, so what I've been trying to do is to just play around the ones that are very essential, and then put some of them in the assignments so that you can also play around by yourself. As you are doing it, you begin to find new ways of doing it. There are a number of things that I've only learned when I was using Excel, not when I read in a book or when I actually learned from a trainee. It was while I was doing it. So it's by reason of use that you begin to find certain shortcuts that would work for you, certain others that would not work for you. I can't begin to tell you a number of incredible discoveries that I found just by playing around the use of Excel. And so I found that, oh, this works, this does not work. So we're going to talk about Excel, we're going to talk about VLOOKUP. Yes, Chinedu will talk about VLOOKUP. I can tell you, we'll talk about match, we'll talk about index, we'll talk about VLOOKUP, we'll talk about HLOOKUP, and then a number of other type of lookup functions. Okay. All right, but that will be tomorrow. So let's move on to tests. Okay, so I'll put these definitions here, and then it will guide us for what we're going to discuss all through. But these are just some of the many test functions. But before we go into functions proper, let me just tell you what a function is. So a function is a predefined formula that performs calculation. It's just as simple as that. A type of formula that's been built into Excel. All right. So where do you find them? You can find them in your formula menu. Okay. So once I click on formula, now this group is where our functions are resident. This is where they are living, okay? So you can actually see, so for example, logical or Boolean functions, you find them here. These are the if, these are the not, true, and all of those. Anything that will produce this or that, false or true, and all of those. So you can actually see the if error that I used earlier is a logical, is telling Excel if this would happen, this is what I wanted to produce. Okay, so these are inbuilt formulas for logical functions. You can come to lookup reference now. For guys asking about lookup, yes, we talk about transpose and all of that. VLOOKUP. I'm actually using Excel 2016. All right. So if you are using 2019, you might have updated, you might have not even updated, you might have additional functions. But I tend to be very cool with 2016, honestly, especially since the time it has Power Query. You know, I prefer this get and transform. I prefer to use 2016. And so at work, even at work, for what I do, 2016 tends to be quite amazing for the kind of work that I do. So, but if you do other type of work, whether you are an accountant or you are a project manager, or you are in sales, you might want to try something else, aside. But I even know that this itself would also be good for you. All right, but I'm not expecting anybody to have anything less than 2016. That's why I said last week that you can have any of these three. 2016, that is a standalone. You can actually buy Excel application itself, either as a disk or online, or 2016 that is part of the Office suite that comes with Access, PowerPoint, and all of those. Then the one on the cloud, which we call Pro Plus. This is the most amazing. But you pay on subscription. It regulates, it updates periodically. So every time there's a new update, it updates, and then your data is stored on the cloud. So I have the links for you to be able to get them, but I'm not expecting anybody to be using anything less than 2016. Okay. All right. So these are the major functions that we'll be talking about. All right. So we have what we call trim. Trim would remove spaces from your tests. It's just as simple as that. Okay. All right. Somebody's asking a question. Oh, okay. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay. Um, all right. So don't forget your formula sits here. This is where they sit. So if you are not sure of any kind of formula that you want to use, you can come here. You can come here. Sorry. And then check to see which one that you actually want. So for example, we're talking about test formulas now, all right? We have trim. So it will suggest to you, can you see, it removes all spaces from a test string except for single space between words, okay? So for example, if you look at this test itself, there's no space after tests, after the word tests, you know, but if I have spaces, now space in Excel is not just empty. It also means something. From the knowledge of errors that we talked about earlier, you can actually divide something by an empty cell, which will give you an error. So don't assume that because it's an empty, is a space, it doesn't mean anything. As a matter of fact, if I open a new role here, Excel will count this. So by the time I'm arranging all of this, say in alphabetical order, or I'm just sorting, it will put this column, this empty column at the bottom, So it doesn't mean that because it is empty, it doesn't mean anything. No, it means, all right? So that's why we use trim. You're going to see one of the application very shortly. All right, so trim, you don't have to memorize these definitions, but just know that trim is used to trim your text, and then what that does is to remove unwanted spaces, except the space between tests, the ones between tests. All right, so we have proper. Proper is another function that I also like, also like this because it will capitalize each of the letters for you. All right, we have upper. Upper is going to put all your tests in uppercase, and the opposite of it is lower. Lower would put all your tests in lowercase. Then this is one of the, let's say, most underrated Excel functions. Length is a short form for length. So length, what it does is to calculate the number of characters within a test string. For example, I want to know the number of characters for all of these tests that sit inside this cell. I don't have to be counting 1, 2, 3. Now, what's the application? We'll get to see it later, but let's just um let's just see how let's just see to it that learn is one of the functions that is very important for us as a test function. Next is write, which would count certain characters from the right based on the value, the test value that you actually request. So we would also see that. Next is left. Left does opposite of what right does. It returns the leftmost. So it starts counting from here. So if I want, for example, from this test, if I want 20 characters, it counts 20, including the space. It counts 20 for me and produces it. All right. So mid, it returns a specific number of characters from the middle, based on your specification. We have what we call delimiter. Delimiter is one of the things that we use for the mid function, and then so examples of the delimiter can be your forward slash, it can be your space, it can be your semicolon, it can be your colon, it can be any other thing. By the time we talk about data cleaning, we would talk more about delimiter. Okay. All right. So exact is a function that would check to see if two values are identical. Last week I ran a logical test for us where I entered a number, say 500, and then another, which I say 5.01. Now for you, if I reformat this, I'm just recapping now, more like a digression. If I reformat this to be showing 500 at the surface, but you can actually look at the formula bar. You're not seeing 500, you're seeing 500.01. So 500.01. Now, you want to compare this, you can actually just equate the two, and just say, is this equal to this? And it's going to give you false. So this is a logical test that I just did. Now we also use so for tests, this one I just did now is for numbers. It's for numbers, okay? So for tests, I can do exact. I can use exact to check if if two tests rather are actually identical, they are the same. Next one is replace function. So replace function would replace a number of characters within the test that you specify, okay? Next one is find. Find would find, like the word find, it will find a certain test value within another test, a larger test. But the difference between find and search is that it is case sensitive. I have an example that I will show you in the next worksheet. Okay. Next one is substitute. Substitute would substitute to find a test and replace it with something different. Okay. Concatenate. Concatenate is more like the ampersand. I tend to prefer ampersand to this when I'm having to join several tests. But concatenate also works. It also works very well. So you can use it to join tests, and it forms a single test. So I'm joining 1, 2, 3 or many other tests to form a single test. All right, so we have test join. These two, we're going to use them very well when we are doing test formula. Okay, so let's just move on to certain examples that I have. Okay, so I have this. Remember, I mentioned earlier that spaces actually count in Excel. All right? So because if you look at this first example, so I just typed certain text, the same word, the same sentence actually, but in different ways. So if you look at it, for example, these different places that have upper cases, spaces in between, So I just did different ones. So you will see that they do not align. This is what you can get in a raw data. Okay, imagine somebody sent this to you and you want to analyze the data. You cannot use this as it is. You have to clean it. All right, so gradually we're already doing cleaning. Okay, so what I want us to do is to run certain types of test functions. Okay, so next one will be the trim, which I defined earlier that it removes spaces. So if you look at this, for example, you see this is a space. This is a space before the sentence. After the sentence, there are spaces. That can you see 3 characters of spaces? Okay, so I want to trim this, and then so I will just write CRM. Excel would suggest to you. Okay, now, before you even click on it, you already see the tip. We call it screen tip. This screen tip, you can actually even move it anywhere you want. So you can actually see the screen tip. I want it beside my argument and beside the syntax. All right, so you can see removes all spaces from a text string except for single spaces between words. And then so I'll click on it. That's tab, and then click this close. It's as simple as that. All right, so it has trimmed this now. So I'll just double click at this edge and down we go. Okay, all right, so that's trim. Next one is proper, because if you look at this, you still see that nothing changed in terms of case. What was uppercase there is still uppercase there. What was lowercase, so it did not change, it did not modify anything around the case. But I wouldn't want to have this, so I would use the proper function. This might look very simple, especially for those that actually have competency level 5 and above, but I had to include this because of the other person. Number larger percentage of the audience are actually within that lower range. So that's why I considered that we need to talk about, because this look very simple. Just to select this and then paste on it. But where it's very important is when you actually need this. Okay, so proper. I would type proper, and then so Excel is suggesting, and then so I'll scroll down and tab, select. Now I'm not going to select the first one. I don't need that first one again. What I need is this under trim. Okay, so I'll just now can you notice the difference? Anybody wants to talk in the box? Just type to me, what do you think has changed between this and this? Let's see if we're actually together. Okay, it has been modified. It has modified the sentence. Okay, thank you, Fumi. Another person? I want to see if you are following. First letter caps log. Okay, all the first letters are in uppercase. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Okay, so it means we are following. Okay, so we can actually see that this has been capitalized. Each word has been capitalized. So, for example, here that this started with lowercase. It has actually. So I want to scroll down onto its tab. Okay. All right. So let's move to upper. Upper would convert all of the data that you have into uppercase. It's just that same definition. So upper, and then so it converts your text string into uppercase. I would tab, click on this, and then close. All right, so you can actually see the difference. You know, it has also changed. It has also changed. All right, so lowercase would do opposite. Let me just run faster now. I think we've gotten the logic. All right, so you can actually see it converts everything into lowercase. Okay, so let's move to learn. Now, learn is so for those of us that have not actually been using Excel for a large or a long number of a large range of row of column rather, when you have a lot of columns, and you want to make use of a certain part of it, you can actually hide the ones that you don't need at that moment, okay? And later you unhide. So I just selected this, just click on it, hold your control, that's your right, sorry, hold your right click and then drag, okay? So you select the ones that you don't need, right? Click on anywhere on this and then you see hide, and the same way you can actually click on these two, right click and unhide, or after you hide, you can actually check from here. You just right click this. Can you see that sign? And so you're good to go. All right, so I don't need those ones in between because I want to be able to see this part. All right, so learn is to find the length of the characters in this text string. Okay, so this is what I need, tab, and then this. So it showed me 37. What did I click? Okay, there's an error. I was meant to use. Okay, it's correct. It's correct. Okay, now let me show you why I have been using trim. Okay, let me just show you. Let me write it. Now imagine if I I hit tab and then instead of clicking on column C, I clicked on this. You would see it's producing 42. Now if I click this down, it's 37 all through. But if I click this, they are not all 47, they are not all the same. I want somebody to be able to tell me why there's a difference between this and this. So what I did is to actually select this. I'm actually working with this rather than this, but this was my original data, which would have produced this. So does anybody want to tell me why it was very logical for me to have used this and not this? Anybody? Okay, Kennedy, thank you. Very, yes, the number of characters are different. Yes, thank you, Chinedu. Thank you, Benga. Okay, thank you. Okay, yes, we are following. Anoluapo says, I don't understand the learn. Okay, so I would recap. Learn is a is a short form of length. Length. Okay, learn, short form of length. So what learn does is to count the number of characters. If you are counting now, THIS space, you are counting all of this, including the spaces between the words. You're going to have 37. Okay, so you can liken this to your block, the building block, the blocks on a building, from one corner of the building to another. You can actually count. Let's say there are blocks all through, you can actually count to see the number of blocks on a roll. Okay, so what len does is to count the length of number of characters. When I say characters, THI space IS, EX, and all of those, that's what it is counting. So it's telling us that the length of the character here is 37. That was after we trimmed, okay? If not, it would have given us 42 and not 37. And the next one wouldn't have given us 37. So another way to see that your data is clean already is that it gives you a uniform length, okay? So that's what learn is about. Oh, we will see the application as we go. I think I need to disable these guys that are writing here. Okay. Okay, let me just clear all drawings, okay? And okay, okay. Um, For a moment. Clear drawings. Film this. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so we're following. It means we are following. Okay. All right, so let's move on to our other examples. Please pay attention to this. Somebody's still writing. Somebody's still writing. I want to believe this is done is done by mistake. Okay. All right. So thank you. Please please pay attention to your screen so I don't distract us. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Find. Apologies, I was meant to have deleted this earlier. So I copied what I have under this. So let me open this back, and then so I'll right click on hide. Okay. On hide. Okay. So let's move on. I'm actually taking it slower because last week seems naturally I tend to talk fast, and then so I want to be sure that I don't confuse you rather than convince you. All right, somebody's still asking about VLOOKUP, and I've asked that you be patient. VLOOKUP is a topic that we are going to consider. Okay, so just be patient. We are going to. I know that the majority of us, we have selected topics that actually caught our attention or piqued interest in. Yes, we're going to get to that. But this particular one we are talking about is also somebody's interested topic, okay? So that's why I would not want to skip any of the parts. I would pay attention to this and explain it just like I'm doing so that you can get it. If you understand this part, just see it as a refresher, okay? When we get to the parts that interest you the most, yes, we're also going to pay attention to that, okay? All right, thank you. So find, don't forget from the definition, find is used to find one test value within another, and it is case sensitive, okay? So now look at this. I intentionally use this test because the test is, this is Excel Masterclass session 2. If you look at the first words, THIS, the last two letter is the same as the second word, which is IS, but one is in lowercase, one is capitalized. Okay, so it was very intentional because I told you that find and search, they do the same thing, but one is case sensitive, the other is not. Okay, so let's look at this. So enter find. All right, hit tab. I want to find what now? Every time that you want to write a test in the formula, you have to quote it. So it has to be quoted. You know, I want to find is, you know, inside where? Inside this test. All right, I'm going to explain this again. This is what I did. If you look at this, find this particular argument, find test. I want to find IS. Don't forget, capital letter I, small letter S. I want to find it within which test. So Excel is asking you within which test, within this test. Okay, so look at this when I tab. So it's telling me that IS is from the 6th character. So it's counting the space. THIS, that's for space 5, then I 6. Okay, you pay attention to it from here. Look at my formula bar. T is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's why it's showing you 6. Now look at it. If I do if I do search rather, search tab, and I say, okay, find IS, let me do IS, okay, IS, capital. Within, comma, that's within. This is going to return this to you. Can you see that it's different now? This is not case sensitive. All right, this is not case sensitive. This is case sensitive. Okay, all right. So, but I don't want to search for this. I want to search for something else. I want to search for what now? Let me say 2. I want to search for 2. Within this test, I want to search for 2, comma, and then close. To show you that the word 2 is from the 35th character. Don't forget, the other time we did a calculation to find the length. It showed us 37. Okay, so it showed us that 37 minus 35. So if you are starting from the left, so don't worry, we'll see that. We'll see that shortly. We'll see that shortly. Damilola, you're still here. All right. So next one is replace. We are far behind. Okay, so replace. I'm going to replace hold test. So your hold test I want to replace is 2. Now start number. Who can tell me the start number? We actually found it. I want to see if we are together. This is where we are under replace. What replace does is to, you have forgotten, is to replace characters within text. So we are replacing in this place, we are replacing the word 2. So who can tell me the are we together? Somebody is answering already. Okay. 35. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so 35. All right, start number is 35. 35. And then number of characters. How many characters does 2 have? How many characters does 2 have? 3. Okay, thank you very much. 3. Okay, so I'll put 3. And new test. The new test is 3. Okay. Oops. What happened? Who test this? Who test? Okay, okay, okay. So let's edit this formula. I produce an error. So let's walk to it. Let's edit it together. Okay. Now I'll click F2 to audit. I want to audit the formula. So show me the formula. And once I click on it, it shows the syntax and the argument. Okay, so old test is actually what? Is actually this 2. Okay. Do you understand? You can't download this worksheet, but I mentioned last week that for you to be able to get all of the worksheets for this session, it means you would have attended the 4 sessions. That's one of the criteria for getting the worksheets. Because truth be told, it actually took a lot of effort to draft this from scratch. Okay, so I would not just give to you because of giving sake. I would give to you because I can see that you actually value it. All right. So, and I mentioned one of the ways that you would show this is by attending. Okay. All right. So you are here today. You are qualifying gradually. All right. So did you see what I did here? So what I did was to change the words to, this is Excel Masterclass session 2 to Excel Masterclass session 3. So what I did, all right, F2, is to replace the old test. This is the old test in B19, okay? And I changed a part of it that starts from 30. So it's counting the character. You know, this is where length is important now. I have done the calculation and I see that it is from the 35th character. And I only need 3 characters, which is this number of characters, which gives you 3. You see that anywhere I clicked on the formula, on the arguments, it will show you the corresponding test to it, okay? And then, so what do you want as the new test that is replacing what is on from the 35th character to the end, and then is the word 3, okay? I click All right. Any questions so far? I want to quickly move to the other part, which is actually date and time function. Very important. So with this, I have created something that would probably serve as your assignment. Let me also emphasize that the way this program was designed is such that we will spend 1.5 hours together, and I would create assignments that have bigger problems than what we did during the session. You probably would have to spend 2 hours to 3 hours. If you're spending 3 hours, 4 hours per week as your time for assignment, and you're spending 1 hour to 2 hours during the session, that's about 6 hours. In 4 sessions, that's about 24 hours. That's a lot for you already. By the time you put in this amount of hours, you would have actually tried and tried and tried new things that would help you. Okay. All right. So I think we are together. This replace. Okay, Julie is asking this Infinix. All right, please can you replace your name so that I can actually call you by your name? Okay. All right, so this is what I did here. I'll do it in the next, I'll do it in another cell. But just look at what I did here. So imagine I have this as okay, I have this as say names. These are movie titles or book titles, and I have hundreds. Okay, I have hundreds, and I want to change. I want to replace something. I want to replace now. You know, I hope you paid attention to where we started, that we had to trim and make proper, and do all of this, find the length of characters, because we actually used our knowledge of the length of character to actually made made the replacement, So what we did was inside this, I want to change this text. This is Excel Masterclass session 2. I want to change it to this is Excel Masterclass session 3. Okay, so I'll use the word replace because I want to replace 2 I want to replace it with the word 3. I'll click replace. Another way to do all of these things that we have been doing is on your cell, you come to formula, but it's a long thing. Don't forget, we talked about efficiency and effectiveness last week, All right, so come here. Now it's going to pop up. Yes, so this is the pop-up. You can see the same thing that I was asking you earlier, but just in a different format. Old tests, this is the old tests. The start number is 35. Number of character is 3. New word is 3. THREE. All right, so you click, produce this to you. All right, I hope you understand now because we need to move faster. All right, so yes, yes, this is also showing, is also displaying on our on our YouTube channel. So if you are finding difficult to probably your audio or something, you can also actually stream from YouTube. Okay. All right, so we'll move. I hope this is clear now. How did that pop up? Okay, that popped up when I opened the dialog box. So I went to formula and click on the particular type of function that I want. This is replace. Can you see it? I click on replace. Okay. And type the old number. So I just click on this. PIM. It's just asking you the same question when we worked on this, when we did it here. It's just the same question. What is the start number? 5. How many characters do you want to replace? TWO, 3 characters. Then what's the new word I want to replace it? I can change it to 4, I can change it to 10, I can change it to anything, And then you hit, okay, what's happening? Character new test. Okay. All right. So basically this is what we are talking about. All right. So please let's just follow because the questions we are asking can be distracting because we're asking for attendance. We will talk about attendance, okay? At the end of the session, we're going to talk about attendance. But I want us to move faster than we are moving now. But I had to actually slow down because of the numerous number of people that still didn't get the other part. But I believe this is gotten now. So I want us to move faster than this. We have a lot to still cover, and then we have less than 30 minutes to go. I don't even know how we're going to do this. Okay, so I have this. Let me just cancel this. So substitute is another one. Let me use the other format that I used earlier. Substitute, you go to this, and then substitute is going to pop this up. So the person that asked the other time, this is a dialog box. Dialog box will help you to actually punch in whatever you want to. It's the same way you actually putting in your entries here, but here you just have to select the cells. All right, so tests. What is the test that I want to substitute? Is the word, who wants to give us a suggestion based on what we have done so far, so that I can do that we are working together? Anybody? So that okay, no, I want something that rhymes with, okay, masterclass. Okay, two. Okay, so let's go with masterclass. Let's go with masterclass. Okay, masterclass. No, test, sorry. Test is here. Okay. You can actually type it in or you just click on it. Old test is masterclass. You suggest masterclass. Yeah, suggest the new test that I would use. Okay. All right. Training. Okay, thank you. All right. Instance number, you can actually leave this. Okay. All right. This is Excel training session 2. Can you see that? All right. So this is clear now. Now let's move on very quickly. Left would count in the number of characters that you specify from the left. Okay, it counts the number of characters that you specify from the left. Now look at the word welcome. How many characters? The word welcome. 7. Are you sure? 7. Okay. 7. Okay. Any other person? Does anybody wants to validate this? Okay. 7. Okay. So I'll put 7 as a number of characters. So you can see number of characters, tests. Can you see that? Welcome. All right, so if I have other data, I'll just populate it like that. Now I'm going to skip mid and go to right, okay? So right is the same thing that it does. Now, Nigeria, how many characters? How many characters? Nigeria, okay? Okay, all right, 7. Okay, Nigeria. So you can see now. So I want to type to here from the middle because this TO is at the middle. So welcome to Nigeria, okay? So what I'll do, let me use the other formula. Let me use the other method that I used earlier so that we can balance the two. Okay, so I'll go to test and check on mid. Okay, tests. This is the test. The start number. Now, who can tell me the start number? This is a bit tricky. So I want to see if we are together. Anybody? 9. How did you get 9, Adebola? Yes, 9. It's actually 9, but I want to know why, because Julius is getting 7. Sorry, Julie, not Julius. Julie is getting 7 to character, okay? All right. And then, so how many characters does TO have? 2, okay? So we just put this. All right, so you can actually see we have actually split this welcome to Nigeria. I just use welcome to Nigeria is a simple sentence, but imagine you have like I would always say, you have a bunch of data that you need to split. So this is one way to actually split them, okay? So you use left to crop this out, use right to crop this out, use mid. Now there are times that we can have a bunch of characters like this. You can still use your mid and specify the number of characters so that you can actually get that part. I'm tempted to leave test functions now. We've not talked about test formula at all. So what I would do after this session, I will look at my workbook and see a number of things that we have not talked about, I would add notes to them, okay, so that by the time I am sending across, you can actually read up and you get it. For those of us that do not, all right. All right, so let's move to date and time function. Very important. I do not want to miss this part. I do not want to miss this part. At the same time, I do not want to exceed our time, okay? I don't want to exceed our time. So last week we talked about a number of things about dates. For example, we talked about how to write today's date. Hmm? So I only told you one method to write today's date, and that's um, yes, concatenate and ampersand. Oh, I missed that part. Pardon me. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Let me just run through this. If we have time, I'll go back to that. And then, okay, thank you very much, Jola Taiwo. Jola Taiwo, I'm not sure you were in this session last week, but you're actually writing to me privately. Can you put it to everybody so everybody can see? Write it to everybody. Okay. All right. So there are two methods that are very simple to use. First is to use your control semicolon, control semicolon. It will point to you today's date, right? So I have today's date written already. Another way to write it is you use the inbuilt function called today. Now this type of function, you don't need to write anything inside it. It's a volatile function. It means tomorrow it will change. Okay, so today you just close it. You don't need to write anything inside. So the other type of functions we've been using all the while, fix, trim, proper, and all of those are fixed functions. If I come tomorrow on this workbook and I typed and I put in the formula for today's date is going to change, all right? So that's why it's a volatile function, but it's an inbuilt function, okay? All right, so I did this example last week, and I'm sure a number of persons, people that did their assignment, you saw this example. I didn't ask you to submit, but funny enough, a number of persons submitted their assignments. I actually took my time to go through, and I saw that many did not get, especially those that did not attend the first session, they didn't get it. All right, so I will just use this opportunity to make the correction. All right, so we have this date. Sitting inside this date is a number. I told you, I said date is a number of days from December 31st, 1899. Okay, so it means January 1st, 1900 is 1. Okay, 2015. So for example, today's date is this, but I can convert this to number. Okay, so I'll just go to number group under home and I would convert it. You can actually use this. I showed us 4 methods. You can actually click on this place and bring your, what's it called, to bring up the different formatting styles, or you click on this, or you right click on it and then it's going to come up shortly. Should come up now. Right click on it. All right, so you can see, and you come to format cell or control 1. That's my favorite. Control 1, it shows this. All right, so I can convert this to a general number and then it's actually changing to number. So if you see this, it doesn't mean that it's still not date. It is date. This is the number for today's date. I just changed the formatting. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so I want to calculate the number of days in which this invoice is due. I was meant to have made this payment on so days, but this today's date and the payment is yet to be made. So I can say, okay, just subtract this because using your number formatting, this is larger than this, right? So you just minus, okay, you get 15. So it means 15 days ago, I was meant to have made this payment, okay? All right, so and then this also, just subtract this, which is a project duration. But in this case, you're going to add 1 because it's also calculating the ending day. Okay. All right. And you get 96 days for this project. All right. And then, so this for loan as well. But this is not even when I'm going. I just want to use this as the icebreaker, this particular section. All right. Okay. So I want to calculate the maturity date. This is also a date. Okay. So you just add to this. So this plus this is just like you're counting 10 days time. Just saying today, tomorrow, and then so you count also. So it means 1st of March 2020 rather, the loan was due, it was matured already. Okay, but this is where we are actually going. All right, so I had shown you how to write today's date, which I did using Excel inbuilt function, and then you just close your bracket and have this. Now, there's what called now function. Now function will show you the dates, the time, and minute. So it's more like it's showing you the whole today's date and time. All right. So this is how to write it. You just write now and click. You can watch. If you check this and you check my dates down, it's actually the same. All right. Okay. Okay. It's late. I think 1 minute. Now I'll come back to this place in say um, some seconds time. But let's just move on. But just take note of what you see here. You're seeing 1751. All right. Okay. So now we have what we call end of month function. All right, from up here, these are the type of date and time function that I really want us to know. Today, now, year, month, day, end of month, and we have what we call e-date, okay? E-dates, all right, and then we have dates. I'll show us examples, okay? Where are we? We are here. Please just pay attention. In less than 10 or 15 minutes, we should wrap up. So the parts that we're not able to talk about, I'll just put a note to it. Concatenation. I have about 17 types of test functions that I actually wanted us to talk about. And then so you can see from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then so we also have about 8 date and time function, then time test formulas and all of those. All right, so this invoice was dated 2nd of February 2020. And then so I want to see what is the end, what date is the end of this month. All right. So it's going to calculate. You remember that 2020 is a leap year. So leap year is also calculated. So it factors in leap year. All right. So leap year, for example, February. Now I intentionally use this February because the last day in February for a leap year is 29. For example, September is 30. All right. So Excel is that intelligent to actually note that, okay, this is the end of this month. All right. So you can, from the date that you specify, you can backtrack or you can fast track, and then so I want to see end of the month for this particular month. So I'll just do EO months, and it's showing me this. So there are two arguments inside this function. First is the start date, which is this, and the month. So this particular month in which we are, I'm not talking about this month of September. I'm talking about this month of February that we have in this Excel. All right. So I'm going to put 0 and close. You can see the last date for this month. For example, people that do payroll computation and all of those, this is very important, and then for those in finance, accounting, you're doing your reconciliation and all of those project managers, sales reps, um, and all of those people that actually use dates as a kind of analysis for their data. Okay. All right. So you can actually see that the last date of this month is 29. Okay. Now, if you want to calculate, who can tell me how many days, how many months ago was February? Okay. Yes. So Sarah, I used 0 because I was actually calculating. If you look at I put some notes here that you use 0 when it is that particular month. Use 1, -1, sorry, when it was last month. So if you're counting backwards, you'll be using minus. So somebody, okay, all right, thank you very much. So now, for example, if you want to calculate end of this month, this month is 7 months away from this, so I'll just do, am I going to do plus or minus? plus. Thank you. All right, thank you, because it's ahead. All right, I hope you get it. All right, so the end of this month is 30th. All right, so that's it. Thank you. All right, so we have what we call e-date. E-date is to calculate the same time next month to the date that you are. So for example, because of what we did earlier here, what's it called? For example, if you're going to calculate um, end of month at the same time next month for April, days that have 30 days, those days that have 29 days, they won't be the same. All right. But with this, you can see the tips that I put on the right side. Okay, so I want to calculate same time next month for this date. So I'll just use e dates. Your equal sign e-date, you can actually see the screen tip returns the serial number of dates that is indicated number of months before or after the start date. All right. Somebody's writing seriously on this screen. Okay, so I tab, don't forget the shortcuts that we're using: tab, F2 to audit, F4 to fix for referencing, your tab to select the particular function from the Excel inbuilt function. Okay, all right, so I'm going to select this and then put my comma. Okay, so I want to calculate end of month for May. What am I going to use? +1, okay? If I'm doing for September, what am I going to use? Thank you. All right, so 5. All right, and you close. Somebody's following actually. All right, so this is just how to use EO months, ED, and that's your e-date. Now I have this. So wedding dates, I'm supposed to put date here. So these guys, they wedded on this date. People in HR, people in account, they use this a lot, this e-month. For example, you want to calculate leave, and all of those, you can use e-date. Now you want to calculate bonus, you want to calculate pension vesting, you can actually use all of these. Okay, so these guys, they wedded on these dates, and they're celebrating 5 years anniversary. I want to calculate the day for that anniversary. All right, so I will use e-date. All right, but note, they only give us year, okay? But the formula actually uses month. So let's see what we're going to do. I'm going to put e-date, e-date, my tab, select this date, comma, select this. Now, if you use this 5, it's going to return it as a month, calculations in month. So you have to multiply it by what? Anybody? Oh, thank you, Love Alabi. Thank you. 12. Remember I told you last week that you can only impute 12 like this because it is not going to change. Tomorrow, next year, we're going to have 12 months in the year. Every year, we're going to have, yes, you can eat 60, but I don't want to put 60 because okay, let me just show you what I did now. Okay, so if I close this, if I come tomorrow and I'm calculating for 6 years anniversary, you see that it updates automatically. I don't want to come and now change that 60 to 360. That is what we call hard coding, and it leads to error. We talked about that in the first session. You don't impute anything that is going to change. You don't type it in. You put it in a separate cell and reference it, okay? So next year, I want to calculate, let me press F2. I want to calculate, here, I want to calculate 10 years anniversary from this date of wedding. You see, it updates automatically, 2024. Do you understand? So the last person that commented is not going to be 60 months. You don't input 60 because it's a variable, it always changes. So you can actually add 12 because 12 is a fixed number of months within a year. All right, so it's actually 6 on the dot. I'm going to stop now, but I also have, oh wow, I thought I would be able to talk about it. Okay, so let me be able to talk about this and then we'll just close. All right, apologies. We have a number of things that we didn't even talk about. 1.5 hours, 90 minutes is just too small to cover these topics that we have, you know, but we'll do our best to see. So that's why you must put in your energy for the assignment. The assignment might be a bit more difficult than this. Not going to be that difficult because I'll put notes for you to understand. If you check through the assignment you did last week, I actually put hints. So that hint was to help you to actually get the calculation. I'm going to skip this because I've actually done something like that. So let me just do one of it instead. We use left. Okay, I didn't talk about left. Okay, I did left, mid, and right. All right, so you can see an application for it here. I'd done this in the earlier section today. So let me just show F2. So what I did is we have this test. If you check your number formatting, and it's very important that you go and check it up. I can't talk about everything that is under this number formatting. You have to check it up, especially custom number formatting. That's what I'm talking about. Custom number formatting is very, very useful. It helps a lot. If you master this custom number formatting, you can modify anything on your Excel, in your Excel formula and in your test. Okay. All right. So everything that you see here is a type of format. I can actually customize mine. That's why I call it custom. So it's custom made. If I don't want what is there, I can actually customize. And so you see, somebody asked last week how we got Naira sign. I actually had to customize it because if I use dollar sign, if I use currency, because Excel was not produced, it was not built in Nigeria, because universally dollar is more like the universal currency. Okay, so I can change it to Naira sign and run. So all of these are done in a custom formatting. So please take time to just play around it. It's not difficult, but you have to fold your roll up your sleeves and dirty your hands, get your hands dirty, on it. All right. Okay. All right. So let's move on. So that's that. This is the area that I actually want to talk about the most. All right. Are we together? I see that a number of persons have actually we are still together. All right, thank you. Okay, you want to see how this dollar sign, there are a number of ways that dollar sign, for example, because I do payroll in Naira, on this system, I'd actually pre-formatted most of my, okay, so please just pay attention to what we want to do here. You see how this Naira sign is gotten, okay? All right, so I have this data, how many people? So I have date, sales rep, sales, that's the amount of sales. You can see I intentionally did not put the Naira sign. The year that sales was made, you can actually see because 2017 was also there, you can see. All right, let me see how many data I have here. I have 48. Okay, so on this column, I want to put only year. On this column, I want to put only month, then date. Then I want to put the month name instead of the month number. Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do is I will say year. It's very simple, just straightforward. This is a formula to get your year, serial year. Okay, then you close and you hit tab. Click on it and put your cursor here, double click. It goes down all through. All right. So I want to do for months, right? Tab, your serial number, select this date, and enter. All right, do you see what happens? All right, so it's telling you the month for these sales. All right, because later if I convert this to a table, I can filter to see number of sales that are made in a particular month. All right, so for example, I did this. There are so many functions that we did not talk about, but I'll just begin to use. Originally, what I intend was just like I defined earlier, I would take time to define all of those, but we can't have that time. So for example, I want to see all the sales that were made in 2017, sorry, 2016. Then I want to see all the sales that were made in 2017. Imagine we have all of that, 2018, 2019, and 2020. So we would use what we call sum if, sum ifs, not sum if. So there are three functions I've talked about under this now. Sum, next is sum if, and next is sum ifs. Now the difference between this and this is that for this you are having more than one criteria. All right, so this will just sum everything. Bam. This will sum based on a condition. So for example, if I use sum, it will just sum all the sales. But sum if is going to sum for sales only in 2016. You understand now? Okay. All right. So that's the difference. All right. Okay. So we have I have actually produced the date here. I want to see. So I will do sum ifs. Sorry, sum ifs. Okay. Tab. All right. So there are three arguments. Okay. Your sum range talks about the sales. Right click. Sorry. Control Shift. Then your down arrow. All right. F4. I'm using F4 because I want to lock. So you can actually see the dollar signs. It has locked. When we get to reference tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow, I think. We'll talk about different types of cell referencing. Okay. All right. So F4, comma. The next argument is the criteria range. Criteria range. My criteria is 2016 and is in this range. So I click on the first one, Control Shift arrow down. Okay, and I will lock it with F4, comma. Now, what is the criteria range? The particular criteria that I want to use is 2016. Sorry, 2016, yes, 2016. I would close. I can continue the argument like that, but I am done already, so I'll close. Now, this is the sales for 2016, all right? So that means for this, all of this data, the sales for 2016, you can actually see if I click from it up here, all right, it's actually here, rather here. If I click on it, you can see the sum down. Look at the tip. Sum of selected sales, okay, is actually 8,045, which is 8,045. So I'll just double click, it gives me for 2017. All right. So this is how we achieve efficiency. So I'm selecting it. I will select Control Shift 4. Control Shift 4. It will put the Nara sign. Okay. So if you are trying your system now, you can actually try that. Control Shift 4. Another way to do it is to actually select that and then come here, Control Shift 1, sorry, Control 1. And so you can actually see we are under currency. This is the one I have used. I can change it to accounting, and then I can even remove the dollar sign and say, okay, none. So you can see where the different currency signs, this is where they are, all right? This is where they are. Now, if you cannot find the one that you want here, you go to custom function, that custom function, and then so you actually see. So if I select this, I can change what I want by retyping here, okay? And it will be showing me the tip here. And then by the time you click OK, it will edit. All right, so that's just how to do it, okay? Yes, there's a class tomorrow, same time tomorrow for our third module, all right? Okay, so I've been able to calculate sales for this. Let me just run 5 minutes and then we'll close because we're meant to close by 6. So date, I want to find the date, sorry, the day for this particular date, the day of the month. So I'll do day and then close. So you can actually see it's 25. Now I'm going to do something later. We want to find the date. All right, so I've been able to find the dates. Now I want to find the month. What is the month for this one? We know that one is January, but I want to be able to see that it's January. So this is where our knowledge of test functions also come in. I'm going to use test. We use test as a function to wrap. So you can see convert a value to test. So you can convert a test to number to a value. You can convert the other way. All right. So I am going to do use tests and select months, which is 1, comma. This is where your knowledge of custom formatting, because you're going to put as a test, you're going to open with a quote. Anywhere you have tests inside a formula, it has to be in quotes. All right, so I want, you're not going to type January, no. I want to put it, so under that custom formatting, this, because I already know it, that's why I'm just typing directly. I'll just put MMMM, okay, and close. This is months. This is how to write month, and it will show you. Oh, sorry, it's too okay. It's actually meant to be 4 times. Yeah, January. So you can actually see. I'll go down. Okay, so you can see for other months. Oh, apologies. I didn't lock. I didn't lock this. Okay. Yeah. All right. So if I click now, it's going to actually, oh, what's happening? Something's happening. Um, okay. Let me just audit my formula. Okay, it's correct here. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. Okay. I wasn't meant to even look. I was meant to be going down. Okay, sorry. I'm just experimenting this so that we can see. Now what I did, let me just show us again, is test function for this to convert this one into a month, okay? Another way to do it is to come and then come here. So for example, let me just select this. I think I'm dehydrated, okay? Okay, all right, so I want to format this to a day. All right, so you can see custom. Custom is showing you this. Now, this is what it's showing. So if I'm typing now watch, you can see what is changing on that sample. It's changing, okay? Now it has changed. Initially it was 1, okay? When I added another M on that type, I'm actually the one typing there. It's changing. Now watch the change. Can you see 4? Can you see? So that's where we got January, all right? If I put dates, date is going to show, if I put D, can you see? Sunday, can you see? DD, can you see now? All right, so that's where you have to come here and play around it to be able to get it. So let me move to this. I think I'm done with this. Okay. Okay. Now let me do, I was meant to scroll down. I was meant to do this. Okay, it's not returning. This is February. Something's happening. I honestly did not get if I have an error here, but let me just move on. I'll come back to this, and then if you have the time. Okay, day. Then also, this is a test function, tests, and then you open, and then so this 25, comma was a test format. It's actually D. Close it with a wrap. You have Wednesday. So it's showing that this is Wednesday. You can actually see that as all of the dates. I don't know what's happening, but I'll come back. So I think it could be number formatting that changed here. All right. Okay, so quarter. I'll put this as an assignment. I'm going to put this part as an assignment. But what I want to calculate now, 2 things, and then I'll call it a day. All right. I want to calculate all the sales that were made on the day called Monday. All the sales that were made on the day called Tuesday and all of that. So I will still use my sum ifs. Okay, sum ifs. All right, and then so what's the first argument? Your sales. Okay, F4, lock it. Comma, what's the next argument? Your criteria, which is this, dates. All right, come down. Next one is this, and then you close. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Did I lock this? Okay. Okay. Oh, I didn't select. Okay, apologies, I didn't select this. Okay, lock, okay, comma, and then this. What's happening? Okay, all right, so I got it. Okay, then you scroll down. All right, so these are the sales from 2016 to 2017, but based on the date. So I'll just do Control Shift 4. Okay, it's giving me my sum in Naira. Okay, all right, there are a number of other things that I couldn't talk about, and then I would not even be able to postpone it tomorrow because tomorrow already we're talking about VLOOKUP. We're talking about lookup reference rather. We're talking about referencing. All right, so let me see the questions that have been posted. Let me see if we have questions. What's the difference between some if and some ifs? Okay, Ima, I said some if is when you have one criteria. But you can actually see that what I did here is 2017 is also included where we have 2018. Okay, so it is not one criterion, it is more than one. Okay, so that's where you also use it. Okay, where I lock, please just be patient till tomorrow. I'm going to show you the merry-go-round method of locking your cells. Okay, this DDD is it constant? Yes, it is constant. If you don't want it as your formatted option in Excel, you can actually change it. What is a fiscal cutout? I'm not going to talk about this right now because time would not permit us. Okay. Any other question? Let me just see that all questions are attended to, then just close. We've taken 17 minutes beyond the time, and then I know that a number of other persons would have things to do outside of this Excel class. Okay. Okay, yes, the link to watch this video again is going to be sent. All right. Any other question? Let me see if there are questions on the YouTube channel. Okay, I'm going to share the link to what's it called? I'm going to share the link to the attendance. Okay, I'm going to share that very shortly. Okay, handouts. Yes, handouts. When you say handouts, I believe you're talking about this book, right? It will come at the end of the entire session. Okay. Another question. Another question. Once again, apologies for what we could not talk about. Time cannot permit. And so if it was just you and I in the class, and I already know your competency level, I can crop out certain things that I can crop out. But I believe me, I'm very confident that even the things that we talked about today, certain persons actually have gained a new knowledge. So that's just the essence of putting up this Excel masterclass so that you can actually add to the knowledge that you have. I don't get notification for it. Okay, so if you don't get notification, please check your spam folder so it can the emails that I send across can actually drop in your junk box. Okay, I don't have a control of where your emails drop. Okay, so intermittently you can actually check to see if, for example, today I had to send the email twice because when I even did a test for myself, sent to myself on my Gmail account, first time it went to the junk box, then second time it dropped in my inbox. Okay, so that's why I had to send twice so that you can actually get one of those. But you can also check your promotions to see the mails that are coming. All right. Another question. Yes, Grace, it goes into promotion. Yes. Okay, yes. So next time I'll just take time. I didn't want to pause. So that's why I didn't I didn't um take out this setting that would allow us to. So I'm going to unshare now. I'm going to unshare my screen at the moment. So I believe I'll just share the what's it called in the chat box. I'm going to post the link to fill the attendance. Please fill it. That's what will tell me that you actually attended. Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. All right. Thank you. My screen is okay. Thank you, everybody. So please just a minute while I share with you the link to the attendance. Okay. Phew. Okay, so I just posted the attendance link. Oh, it was to individual. Okay. Trust me, some of these things that I've actually been sharing with you is by reason of use. Okay. It's not as if I went for one Microsoft certification. No, no, no. It's just things that I've actually learned over time. And so I feel every now and then during discussions with some of my some of my friends, or maybe some of um, fellow HR professional, some of job applicants, even people that I actually interview at work. For example, over the week, I was actually recruiting for 3 roles, and I was also testing about knowledge of Excel, but I could see the deficiency. Okay, so that's why I felt it is time that we just put this up. So the sacrifice is your data that you're going to use, and your time. Okay, so you're not paying for this. I'm just sharing again in case. So just click on it. It takes you to the Google form where you're going to fill the attendance. Okay. Thank you for your time. Whether you're on YouTube or Zoom, I appreciate you for staying tuned to this period. Okay, so I would ensure to make it better tomorrow. Yes, I will ensure to make it better tomorrow. And then please ensure you practice so that I don't have to always repeat many of the things that I've talked about. If you get it just once that I talk about it, it will be very fantastic. And we'll move on straight away to the next thing. For example, today, things I was not able to talk about, lookup slash reference function, test formulas. Test formulas is very important. Use test formula for invoicing, even any drafts, any form of Excel draft document where you have text and numbers. You can actually wrap it as a test, inside your formula. So I'd actually prepare some things to talk about, but time. All right. So thank you, everybody. It's 6:23. Believe in the next 1 minute, we should close this meeting. So if you have actually been able to submit your attendance, please, you can exit the meeting. Okay, you can exit the meeting. So thank you for your time once again. We'll see tomorrow by 4:30. 4:30. 4:30. Okay. So thank you. If you exit the meeting and then you didn't copy out the link, you might not be able to get it. Okay, so it will just under my database for attendance, it will just show that you were absent. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. If you have questions that you think you want to ask, please feel free to email or call the number. Or please call at the time that we can actually talk. Okay, not like tomorrow we'll be in church. So I don't want to be worshiping God in church and I have calls about Excel. Okay. Right, so thank you, everybody, all across beyond Nigeria. I have friends from Kenya. I have from Ghana. I have from Canada on this call. I have from I don't know how to pronounce the new name of the country yet, but it used to be Swaziland. You have about 13 people. I have from corporate organizations, people that actually sent their team to be on this Excel course, this program. So thank you, everybody. I do not take that for granted. It's my desire. Okay, thank you, Ruth, for submitting. Thank you, everybody. So you can exit the meeting once you're able to do that. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Thank you, and have a nice evening.